We all good to start green here?
Oh, I'm ready.
All
we
right.
got Arachnoid Adaptation first. It's 1 green instant at common. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains reach till end of turn. Untap it. That's a lot for 1 green.
It's a decent amount for 1 green, but I feel like some of those are not necessarily always super relevant. Because, like, it's not like a giant growth necessarily. And giant growth hasn't even been that great in some recent sets. +2/+2 for 1 is passable, I think. It will get you out of some snags, but not out of all of them. Reach and untapping your creature will occasionally let you have a block that you weren't having before. But I think when your opponent passes the turn with a single green mana up, you're going to keep in mind, like, hey, they might Arachnoid me. C- is about what I'm thinking.
Yeah, C- is probably fair.
Maybe even D+. But it's so little investment for what it is.
Yeah.
So, this is also a little investment. Placid Rotten Tail, single green for a 1/1 fungus rabbit at common. It's got vigilance. You can pay 2 and a green, exile it from your graveyard, put 2 1/1 counters on a creature, activate only as a sorcery.
2 1 counters is a lot.
Yeah,
honestly.
That makes a creature big. This is, again, I think one of those ones for 1 that I'm supposed to be playing. It also wears counters well, which is important for the green-white deck.
True.
I don't think it goes higher than a C, but I think you're supposed to keep it in mind.
Yeah, I think it's like a C-.
Yeah.
Moving on, Seed of Hope is an instant 1 green. It's a common. It says mill 2 cards. You may put a permanent card from among the milled cards into your hand. You gain 2 life. Just make sure your odds of whiffing this are 0 to none, I guess. You know, I'm not interested in playing this if my deck has like 8 like non-permanent cards.
Yeah, like I feel like, I mean, most green decks shouldn't be playing a lot of non-permanent cards because that's just instants and sorceries. Like battles still count, for example.
True.
The red green deck is going to play a lot of battles, which will probably take up a lot of the non-creature count anyway. So
true. Yeah, that's true.
That said, it's not like you're getting a great rate on this. You only get to choose from the milled cards which permanent you bring back, so you're not rebuying any other permanents. It's a little bit of card selection with a little bit of life gain. I think it's a totally cuttable card, but not a tragedy if you play it.
D, maybe?
D+.
All right.
Atrax's Fall is 1 and a green for a sorcery. Destroy target artifact, battle, enchantment, or creature with flying.
It's a lot.
We're just going to keep putting more niche effects on these naturalizes.
Yes, until someone plays them.
Yeah.
So Atrax's Fall, tell me, if you destroy a battle, is it considered defeated?
No, it is not.
That's good to know.
This is destroying your opponent's battles, not yours. You can destroy your own. It is just a universally bad idea to do that.
So tell me, is this card main deckable yet?
I think in Sealed, you main deck it.
I think so too.
Outside of Sealed, I think it's sideboard. It's probably like a sideboard.
But it's a good sideboard card, right?
Yeah, like a sideboard C.
Okay.
There's enough rent. There's going to be battle decks you want to bring this in against. There's going to be decks with big flyers that you want to bring it in against. Occasionally, there might be an enchantment that you got to deal with. I guess artifact will come up every once in a while. There's a blue-black sword in this set. Maybe you need to destroy. But, like, outside of that, in draft, you shouldn't be aiming to main deck them. You still probably pick up 1 if you're in green because you want 1 in your sideboard, just in case. But it won't be something that you have to work very hard for. Like, you'll be getting into the last 4 picks of a pack, and you'll see 1 or 2 of these floating around.
Right. All right, moving on to Cosmic Hunger. It's 1 and a green instant. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature, planeswalker, or battle. Red-green's great at getting rid of battles, man.
Yeah, we got another like Rabid Bite type effect here, but it hits battles as well. I think it's your green premium removal. It's probably a C+. Just don't get blown out.
Yeah, please. Try not to. Yeah, C+, I agree. That card's great.
Herbology Instructor. 1 and a green for a 1/3 Tree Folk Druid at uncommon. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. Is that 5 or 6?
That's a 6.
That is 6 and a black Phyrexian. To transform it into probably a good card.
I hope so at this rate.
Malady Invoker. A 3/3 Phyrexian Tree Folk. When this creature transforms into a Malady Invoker, target creature an opponent controls gets -0/-X until end of turn, where X is Malady Invoker's power.
So it kills an X3. Probably. It could do a little bit more. It could punch a little bit higher up than that.
Yeah, you could back up onto it or something.
But oh, what a weird effect. What a weird little card.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's kind of good because, whatever, 1/3 that gains 3 life. It's an okay blocker. And then later in the game, you just get to
snipe something.
Yeah. It's probably not going to be their most relevant creature, but it's not going to be nothing.
Yeah.
Card's not bad. Maybe a C. A C? What do you think? C plus?
C is about as high as I'm willing to go for it.
All right.
So I'll say a C here.
C, Honor Biology Instructor. Iridescent Blade Master's next. 1 and a green Elf Warrior at common. It's a 2/2. And you can pay 4 mana, 3 and a green. Iridescent Blade Master gets +2/+2 till end of turn. I always like effects like this. And I think that this set needs mana sinks. So you're never going to be unhappy running this in your deck. I think it's a C.
Yeah, C minus is where I'm landing on this. A lot of these types of cards, I found myself going a little bit lower recently, just because games tend to be a little bit faster in modern day limited, and we're not as in need of mana sinks. And this isn't a super efficient mana sink or anything by any stretch of the imagination, but it's fine. Again, you play them in your deck and you're not sad about it.
Yeah.
C is about where I'm okay with. Portent Tracker is 1 and a green for a 1/1 Satyr Scout at common. Tap it to untap target land, or tap it, choose target battle. If an opponent protects it, remove a defense counter from it. Otherwise, put a defense counter on it. Activate only as a sorcery.
Weird.
Very weird. It always worries me a little bit when I see these kind of cards that are clearly meant for a specific archetype, but are also just generically good in every archetype. Because every deck's going to interact with battles to a degree, and every deck is more or less going to be interested in a 2-mana green creature that ramps you, right?
Yeah.
So on that basis alone, this is probably, I think, a C+. The battle upside is probably just kind of icing on the cake, because being activated only at sorcerer speed is a major restriction for this kind of effect. You have to really commit to that move. And you're only changing the counter count by 1, either way, whether you reinforce a battle you're protecting or knock your opponents down that they're protecting down by 1. So I think I'm still just keeping it at C+ either way.
I think C+ is a very reasonable spot. You're going to see a lot of those on the board.
Yeah.
Streetwise Negotiators next. It's 1 and a green for a cat citizen at uncommon. It's an 0/2 with backup 1. And this creature assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. It's a weird little niche effect. Pretty much you'll have a 2-mana 3/3 if you back it up on itself. And if not, you toss that 1/1 counter somewhere else, and either it doesn't change the creature or it makes it a couple points better. I think this is a totally reasonable card, a C, maybe a C+.
C+ is what I'm leaning towards, because I see the modes as either you get to probably buff a creature. Some creatures won't be good if they have to attack with their toughness, but just don't do that. Or either it's that giving that buff plus it's a 2/2 on its own essentially, or it's a 3/3 on its own. It does get a little bit of extra value from not getting affected by the one -X/-O thing that blue has, but that's not really a great spell anyway, so I'm not really counting that. Yeah, C+ is about where I'm willing to land on it.
Okay.
Vengeant Earth, 1 and a green for an instant. Target creature or land you control becomes a 4/4 elemental creature with haste, in addition to its other types until end of turn. It must be blocked this turn if able. That last line is the only thing that makes this playable.
Absolutely.
And I don't actually know how good it is. This one's weird.
Yeah, you'll pick off anything they play before 4 mana pretty much, and then you'll trade with anything beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
That will matter. And if there's anything bigger, then you won't play this, I like that it's an instant. You can block with it, which is kind of cool. And it could be a creature or a land, which is kind of neat. I still think this is an F, though, honestly. I think this is unplayable.
I'm going to probably say...
Are you casting the spell? Be honest.
It's a D-. It's really splitting hairs, but I could imagine a draft where things don't go too great for me and I end up playing one, but I really don't want to.
Okay. Then D- it
Yeah,
is.
D- is about as high as I'm willing to go for it.
All right, Wary Thespians next. 1 and a green, Cat Druid at common. It's a 3/1, and when it enters the battlefield or dies, surveil 1. This is a very, like, it's the Oresco Swiftclaw, but it gives you a little bit of card
Selection, yeah.
Card selection.
I dig it.
I don't hate it. It's like a C, C minus.
I'm willing to go over C on this one.
Yeah. I don't think there's much more to say about it. I like that it does it when it dies too.
Yeah. Blighted Burgeoning. 2 and a green for an aura that enchants a land. When it enters the battlefield, incubate 2. When the land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of any color.
I like it.
Yeah, we see these kind of effects all the time. The 3 mana green sorcery that makes one of your lands tap for 2. It's color fixing. It's ramp. It comes with an incubate token. I think this is sweet. I don't think you go higher than a C on it, but I'm perfectly happy with it at a C.
Yeah, I think this is one of the best versions of this effect too.
Yeah.
Because usually it's either gain a life or put a counter on something. This just gives you a creature.
Yeah.
So Kami of Whispered Hopes is next. It's a 2 and a green for a spirit at uncommon. It's a 1/1, and it's got the Hardened Scales text. If 1 or more 1/1 counters would be put on a permanent you control, that many +1/+1/+1 counters are put on that permanent instead. And it taps to add X mana of any one color where X is Kami of Whispered Hope's power. What do you think of this? I actually don't know what I think of this right now.
I'm leaning towards liking it a lot. I don't think like B level a lot, but like C+ level, maybe even B-. So the way I see it is that its floor is that it's a 3 mana dork, and we do play those every once in a while. Granted, they have a little bit more upside, but it's all right. Beyond that, the Hardened Scales effect, as long as it comes on an actual creature in limited, I'm okay with. I'll play it at C+ for now.
Yeah, I think C+ is reasonable. I think this card's going to surprise us. Yeah. I think it's going to be good.
All right, let's go on to Overgrown Pest. 2 and a green for a 2/2 pest. Common. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a land or double-faced card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Well, was Contagious Vorak 2 good for us? I mean, probably. That card was sweet.
This card's still really good, though.
It's still quite good.
Because it either draws a land or it draws one of many double-face cards in this set.
All the battles, all the transforming dual faces.
I think this is at least a C+. It looks at 5 cards.
I'm gonna put it at C. I mean, you're very unlikely to whiff, but whiffing is a thing that technically can happen. And it is only a 2/2 for 3. But I think C is still a good spot for this. Like, you'll still play these in reasonable numbers.
Okay. I don't know. I like it. I hate that there's now a pest that doesn't gain you life.
Yeah, that does bother me a lot.
But it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, up next is Sandstalker Moloch. It's 1 green for a lizard at uncommon. It's a 4/2 with flash. Okay. Satyr Boonweaver coming in here. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent casts a blue and or black spell this turn, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You could reveal a permanent from among them, put it into your hand, rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. What a weird card.
So you know all those color hate cards we've been saying, keep them in your sideboard, keep them in your sideboard.
Just play this.
Yeah, just play this one.
This one's good.
A 4/2 flash, like, it's going to have the potential to trade down. 2 toughness on a 3 power or a 3 mana value creature isn't fantastic, but it also has the ability to just like eat a big attacking creature. And you don't need to get that if your opponent casts a blue or black spell every time. A 4/2 flash for 3 is perfectly playable. C+ is about where I'm willing to put
I think
this.
C+ is good for me as well. Yeah. If they cast the blue or black spell and you get to draw a card as well, it's going to be better. Absolutely.
Yeah. Next up, Serpent Blade Assailant. 2 and a green for a 2/1 elf warrior at common. Backup 1 in Death Touch.
Hey, I give somebody Death Touch, give them a little 1/1 counter, or just be a 3/2 with Death Touch yourself. You almost never put the counter on this card.
Yeah, I think you always want to place it somewhere else, but it's nice that you can play as a decently sized body on an empty board if you need to.
Absolutely. I think this is just it's a C probably.
My heart wants to call it a C+, but
you just
C
love
is
Death
probably
Touch.
You're not wrong, honestly. I do.
Yeah, coming up here, it's Tandem Takedown. I like cards like this. I don't know how good they are. This one's 1 green for an instant at uncommon. Up to 2 target creatures you control each get +1/+0 till end of turn. They each deal damage equal to their power to another target creature, planeswalker, or battle. This is where your Death Touchers look awesome.
Yeah. I think that this is very high tier removal.
Me too.
Band Together is a card that we've gotten a couple of times that doesn't give a power boost. It just has 2 of your creatures deal damage to another thing. It prevents the blowout potential that some fight spells come with. You don't have to choose 2 creatures that just barely make it to the toughness of a creature your opponent controls, right? You'll do it when you need to, but sometimes you'll say, okay, these 2/2/2s are both going to deal damage equal to their power to this X2. And your opponent can say, okay, I'll kill one of them in response, and they'll still lose their creature. Your spell will happen just fine either way. You have the upside of attacking battles and planeswalkers. I think this is an easy B.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Not splashable, which
not
is something to look
splashable
out
is
for,
important, but I think in a
still
lot,
good.
it's base green. So, like, green's going to be one of the colors you're going to be in if you really want to do a lot of splashing anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like it.
All right, let's go on to War Historian. 2 and a green for a 3/3 human monk, common with reach, and indestructible as long as it attacks a battle this turn.
So strange.
C+?
So strange. Yeah, I think it's just a straight up C+. Like, you can never be punished for attacking a battle with this card, and I think that's pretty dang decent.
Yeah.
So, and then also it's just a 3-mana 3/3. So.
Not necessarily how I've known historians to work in the past. They don't normally.
Well, they know how the battle's gonna go, so they can't be harmed. That's the joke.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just a C+.
Well, how does a Chomping Kavu work then?
I don't know. Let's find out. 3 and a green, Kavu at common. It's a 3/3 with backup 1, and this creature can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Definitely not a bad effect.
Yeah.
I like putting a counter on this itself, making it a 4/4. But there's going to be situations where putting it on something else is going to be good. I'm excited to play backup out. I think it's going to be pretty good. I think it's going to be fun too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is probably just a straight C.
Like,
a good role player 4-drop. Let's move on to Converter Beast. 3 and a green for a 0/1 Phyrexian Beast. When it enters the battlefield, incubate 5.
Well, here's what you want to blink.
Yeah, so this card is either complete trash or really good. I feel like
there's no in between.
I don't think it has that in between really, because it's really not doing a whole lot on turn 4 at all. But it's setting up some of your big incubates for some of what Black Green wants to do, and it's giving you an incubator in general for what Blue Green wants to do, just having transformed permanents. But gosh, are you really not doing a whole lot the turn it comes in?
No. Yeah, this is a weird one to rank, but it leaves behind a 5/5 because it brings a 5/5 kinda.
Yeah.
On turn 6, I really enjoy this.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So it's definitely an odd one. I think it's like a C though.
I'll start it as C as well. We'll see how it plays out.
All right, we've got Crystal Carapace up next. It's 3 and a green. It's an aura at common. Enchant target creature. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3 and has Ward 2. And this card has cycling too. Is it the only card in the set with cycling?
The only card in the set with cycling.
Okay.
Which is absurd to me because Yidaro is part of a rare card.
Weird. I like it. I think that giving something like this cycling makes it much better.
Yeah.
I think +3/+3 is going to be relevant in several matchups. And Ward 2 just makes it a lot harder to target your creature, obviously.
I'll put it on the little 0/1 hexproof, dude.
Yes, there it is.
Then they'll have hexproof and Ward 2.
Yes.
Finally.
Yeah, I still think this is like a D+, or it might be like a C- or C with the cycling.
Yeah, I think the first copy is probably a C-, but you really don't want to go further than that. Even though you can ditch them for new cards, you can't just cycle things forever.
No.
You got to actually play cards at some point. Next up, Fertilid's Favor. 3 and a green for an instant at common. Target player searches their library for a basic land, puts it onto the battlefield tap, shuffles, and puts 2 1/1 counters on up to 1 target artifact or creature. This doesn't feel like it's really good at what it wants to do, and it feels like it's trying to do 2 different things that don't really mix well together.
Yeah, it's a little bit... I like that it's an instant, but it's a little bit weaker than I'd like it to be at 4 mana.
Yeah,
right?
For a
So
combat spell to be relevant to 1/1 counters or instant speed isn't really where I want to be. And those 1/1 counter decks probably don't care that much about mana fixing and ramp on turn 4. And the decks that want mana fixing and ramp probably don't want to wait till turn 4 and don't care as much about the 1/1 counters. So I'm off this card. I think like a D.
you think it's like a D? I
Yeah.
think that I could see myself playing it.
Mhm.
I think D's okay though.
I can see myself playing it. I've made mistakes before, but
Not Bold Hermit is next. It's a 3 and a green troll at uncommon. It's a 4/4 and it's got 5 and a blue Phyrexian to transform it into Chrome Host's Hulk. It's a 5/5. Whenever it attacks, up to one other target creature has base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn.
this seems pretty sweet.
Yeah.
4/4s for 4 are generally pretty good. And this has upside. I don't think it's like crazy upside or anything, but it fits well into that blue-green deck.
Feels like a C to C plus.
I'll give it a C+, I think.
I like making another creature a 5/5.
Yeah, no, this does represent a lot of damage on certain boards.
C plus.
Yeah, C+ for the troll. Invasion of Zendikar is 3 in the green for a siege with 3 defense counters. There's the battlefield. Search your library for up to 2 basic lands. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. That's what we call an explosive vegetation.
Yeah, we've been looking for the 3/3 defense counter one.
Flips into Awakened Skyclave, a 4/4 Vigilance Haste Elemental with as long as it is on the battlefield, it is a land in addition to its other types, and it taps for 1 mana of any color. I think this goes specifically into the green decks that really care about having a lot of mana and a lot of colors. And you don't play it really in the red-green battle deck, I think, as much, unless that deck is also splashing for a lot of different colors.
Yeah, this is definitely a weird card. But I like it. I think it's like probably a C plus. I think how it really helps fix your colors.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And then it gives you a body when it's done fixing your colors.
Mhm.
It's only got 3 defense counters, so I think it's pretty easy to crack into as well. I like that things that say destroy target non-land permanent can't kill it.
Yeah.
It's pretty weird. C plus or C?
C+, I think I'm okay with. I could see, it feels like it does need those kind of homes, though. Like homes that really care about that. Because like a lot of times explosive vegetation isn't really where you want to be in a lot of formats. But this might, I think if any format is going to be that format, it's this one. So
I'm hoping. We got Storm the Seed Core next. It's 2 green for a sorcery at uncommon. Distribute 4 1/1 counters among up to 4 target creatures you control. Creatures you control gain vigilance and trample until end of turn. So 4 mana, put a bunch of 1/1 counters on stuff. I mean, the green-white deck's begging for it.
yeah,
I kind of like it.
it's a pretty good finisher. It's an overrun type effect for
Yeah,
sure. It's not as efficient as most overrun effects, but they don't really tend to print them that good anymore.
No, definitely
Because
not.
they're not necessarily fun, unless you're the one casting them. But yeah, I mean, like it suffers a little bit from the same thing that like Green White Battle had, where if you're not in a position to finish your opponent with this, it's essentially uncastable. But when you're ready to cast it, like it's going to be really backbreaking.
Yeah, so it's like for the most part, it's going to be like a C minus.
Yeah.
But when it's good, it's going to be like a B.
Yeah,
Because it's just going to end the game.
for sure. Next up, Bonded Herd Beast. 4 and a green for a 4/5 beast. We're going to pay 4 and a Phyrexian red. This is a common, by the way, to transform it. You're not going to believe what it transforms into. Planted Kiln Beast. A 7/5 Phyrexian beast with menace. Big larg boy do damage. He hurt you.
I like it. I like this card a lot. I want to play this card really bad. It transforms for kind of cheap too.
Yeah, I mean, like you're doing a high upfront cost, but like basically you're guaranteed if you cast this thing, you're going to have the option to pay into it next turn and transform it.
That's awesome. I like that guy a lot. I'm still gonna say like a C to C plus for it.
Yeah, C I think is where.
But it can act as a good finisher for any green deck technically.
For sure.
So, all right, next up, Invasion of Muraganda. It's got 6. Oh god, 6 defense counters. When it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Then that creature fights up to one target creature you don't control.
It's 4 and a green, by the way.
It's 4 and a green. I didn't even say that. And then Primordial Plasm's on the back. It's a 4/4 ooze at the beginning of combat on your turn. Another target creature gets +2/+2 and loses all abilities until end of turn.
Yeah, that's just a cute reference to Muraganda petroglyphs.
Weird.
It's
okay.
an old enchantment from, I think, Future Sight that gave all your vanilla creatures +2/+2.
That's fun.
And that's like the only mechanical relevance Muraganda's ever been given, and so people constantly ask about it.
That's so funny.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, this represents a fight spell, and it leaves a
Yeah.
counter on it. It's like a hunt the weak.
yeah.
I feel like you're not flipping it a lot. 6 feels like a ton.
6 is a lot, but at the same time, again, red green's the color for trying to flip it, and it's the kind of battle that gets a blocker out of the way,
It's true.
which gives you a little bit more flexibility. And the backside is okay for that flip. I think I would put this at like a C, honestly. I could see it going higher. Because like it's removal, but it's not good removal, right? It's a sorcery speed fight spell. Even with the 1/1 counter, you do leave yourself open to being blown out with it. It's not efficient. But the red-green deck might want this enough just to keep the battle train rolling.
I'm gonna go with a C- on it. I think it's just too slow,
Fair enough.
and the 6 is a lot.
Next up, Ravenous Sailback. 4 and a green for a 3/4 dinosaur. When it enters the battlefield, choose one. It gains haste or destroy target artifact or enchantment. This is an uncommon.
I mean, 5 mana for a 3/4 haste is kind of not good.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about that stat line at all.
I'm more so bringing this in if I have an artifact or enchantment that really has to go.
Yeah, I think this is mostly sideboard material, to be honest. I like that sideboard material where your opponent doesn't have to play the problematic permanent to get some value out of it.
True.
Out of the sideboard, I still think it's like a C.
Yeah, and if you
and like a D in the main.
Yeah, absolutely. Weird that it's an uncommon.
Yeah.
But moving on, Tangled Skyline, 4 and a green for an enchantment. It looks like the Phyrexian enchantment. It's an uncommon. Yep. When it enters, you gain 5 life and incubate 5. Okay, and Phyrexians you control have reach. That gives you some room to dirtle. You can maybe play a 5 mana thing that doesn't do anything if you gain 5 life off of it. And the reach part's flavor text pretty much.
More or less. Like, I don't think. I mean, I like to gain 5 life. Incubate 5 on a 5-drop is a little bit but if black-green, I think, is one of the colors that can really make use of an incubate 5. So I think this is a little bit build aroundy again. You do also get the benefit of blue-green caring about the incubate token as well. I don't know, build around C. It's not like the blue one where like you get to draw cards constantly, right?
Yeah.
Like this just does its thing up front, and then it's like, okay, now you just have a bunch of reasonably large boys that can reach up in the air.
Yeah.
So it's fine. Wildwood Escort, 4 and a green for a 3/3 elf warrior at common. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature or battle card from your graveyard to your hand, and if this creature would die, exile it instead.
So I like it. It's a big grave digger that can also get a battle back.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely into this kind of thing. It's like a C.
Yeah, C is like about where I would land. It's fine.
Probably a C. But anything that buys back creatures, and it's a decent body as well.
Yeah.
Always going to be playable, pretty much. Up next, we got Timberland Ancient. It's a 4 green tree folk. It's a 6/5 at common. Reach, trample, forest cycling. This might be one of the not as good ones of these like cycling guys that we've seen.
Yeah.
But I still like it. I'm still casting this.
Yeah, I think it's still a C.
I'm still putting this in my deck. So yeah, definitely still good. We're playing all of these. They're
pretty
good.
much. Last up in green, Copper Host Crusher. 6 green for an 8/8 Phyrexian Bear Rhino at uncommon with trample and hexproof.
I hope I get to play it. I hope I get to play this spell because it's awesome.
This is a good payoff for that kind of like battle or Invasion of Zendikar archetype deck, right? Like you want to play a big stupid idiot. It's 8 mana, so you can't just put this into any deck. You need to be able to ramp to it. But when you do, you are going to have a lot of times the biggest creature on the board and they cannot interact with it. This is a pretty like prototypical green finisher. We've seen this thing plenty of times. I think it's a B minus probably. B minus is probably more.
Yeah, let's go B minus. If this format winds up being faster than we think, then it's
Then it'll
obviously
fall
not.
off,
It's
for
obviously not going to be good. I'm really into putting the +2/+2 flying onto this one.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by The Metagaming. If you're looking to pick up some new sealed product for your kitchen table draft or need some singles for a new constructed deck you might be putting together, they've got you covered. You can even pick up all your Magic the Gathering accessories, including sleeves, dice, playmats, binders, you name it.
Yeah, and they also have an amazing community of Magic players, not only for Draft and Limited, but Commander, Modern, Pioneer, and even Standard?
Does anyone actually play Standard anymore?
I have no clue. I don't.
Anyway, if you're local to Long Island, New York, and you're looking for an amazing community of Magic players, come on down. We do drafts every Sunday, and you can come draft with me.
And me.
Please.
And if you want to pick up any gear from the meta, just check out the link down below. You can also check out their event schedule if you're local. Use the code POD5P at checkout to get 5% off your order. All right, and we've got the gain lands now. We're going to be looking at some of the colorless cards. There are 10 different lands that all gain you a life. They enter tapped, they gain you a life, and they tap for 2 different colors of mana. We're probably taking these pretty high. Having 2 different types of mana on one land, even if it enters tapped, usually going to be pretty good. We're usually not going to be playing more than like 3 or 4 of these, probably, because then your mana is just going to be too slow. But definitely pick these up and pick them up a little higher than you think, because they're going to go.
Yeah, they probably play like C's, but you're supposed to pick them like C pluses is kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
A couple of things to keep note, like we said at the beginning of the show, these replace your basic land half the time. So they don't take up common slots. Assuming you're in an 8-person pod, that means that you're going to see about 12 of them around the table. So just to give you an idea about how many of them will be circulating, that number can obviously fluctuate. And because these gain lands are all in the format, that's one of the things that kind of makes aggressive decks a little bit weaker. Pretend like a lot of players are actually starting with 21, 22 life instead, you know? Right. Now on to colorless cards. Thankfully, there's not a lot. Urn of Godfire is a 1-mana artifact at common. You could pay 2 to add 1 mana of any color, so it's a bad filter effect like a Prismite, or pay 6, tap, and sack it to destroy target creature or enchantment. So this is kind of like stapling that Prismite effect to the bad random artifact removal that we get every set at common. It is very much your backup, like, whoops, I screwed up and forgot to take real removal. So you will generally only play, I think, if you need that. I don't think you're supposed to pay attention to the filtering option. There's much better ways to get your mana online than that.
Absolutely. I think it's like a D minus. Like, it's playable, but if you can help not playing it, don't.
Yeah, D is about as high as I'm willing to go on this.
All right, moving on to Flywheel Racer. It's 2 mana for a vehicle with vigilance and 3/2. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color, only if Flywheel Racer's a creature and it has crew 1. It's a common. I kind of don't like this.
It wants to be a Springleaf Drum, but it's bad at being a Springleaf
It's
drum.
really bad at being a Springleaf Drum.
I don't like Springleaf Drums that animate themselves into creatures so my opponent can kill them.
Yeah.
I mean, a 3/2 Vigilance with crew 1 is not the end of the world at 2. But it's not great either, right?
No.
Again, I think this is like a D.
I think it's a D. I think there's places where it's going to be played, but it's going to be kind of rare.
Yeah. Next up, Kite Sail. 2 mana for an equipment at common. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 flying. Equip 2. We've seen it a million times.
Every time we see it, it's pretty much never good.
Yeah. So we've seen a couple variants of this effect that have been okay. And I think that there are certain aggressive decks that might want to run one of them. But like in general, you shouldn't prioritize taking these. They are strictly okay at best and pretty unimportant at worst. It's again a D.
Yeah. Moving on to Halo Hopper. It's 3 mana for an artifact creature frog. It's a 3/2 with Convoke, which means it could be cast potentially for no mana.
Yeah.
It's not great, but it's cute.
Yeah.
And I like it. That's more great flavor text for you.
Yeah. What do you think? A D+ for that thing?
Yeah, probably like a D+.
Yeah, like it's hard to really feel like you got away with something if you cast it for cheap.
It's like,
right?
Oh, look at me. I have a little frog.
You know what 3-mana artifact creature I really love?
This is our first A. No.
Skittering
Oh, I
Surveyor.
love him.
3 mana for a 1/2 construct at common. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle. This card is good. Do not underestimate it.
This feels like a great set for it too.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm so happy to see Skittering Surveyor back.
Yeah.
I love this card.
Even if you're in a 2-color deck, you still play it. Like, it's just a decent, like, a 1/2 for 3 is not good, but it's going to fix your mana. It always replaces itself. It happens to wear 1/1 counters and stuff like that if you need it to. And in this set, you're occasionally going to want to play 3 colors. Or 4 colors even. So I don't think B- is a responsible letter grade to give a 1/2 for a 3, but it's a good C+.
Yeah.
Prioritize them. They won't come around if you don't.
And our last colorless card is Phyrexian Archivist. It's 6 mana for a Phyrexian construct. At common, it's a 4/5 with reach. You can pay 2 to put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. You really don't want to play this, I don't think, unless you have to.
It's a D-.
It's a D-.
kind of card.
Any deck can play it, so if you really need a playable at the top, sure, but like it's just not doing relevant things.
Yeah, it's in the finisher slot, and it's like not even going to compete well against 4-drops and stuff. Like, it's not where you want to be. Don't play it if you don't gotta. And even if you, honestly, it could be an F even. I really don't like it.
F, done. Hate it.
All right. Last but not least, Multiverse Legends. Again, you get 1 per pack. We're going to run through these last 20 cards real quick. Start us off, Nick.
We got Daxos Blessed by the Sun. White for a 2-star. Toughness is equal to the devotion to white. So every white pip on your board adds to his toughness. And whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain 1 life. This card is really annoying back in the Theros Beyond Death days. And I'm just assuming it's going to be just as obnoxious here.
Yeah, it's probably just, I mean, a multicolor set, 2 white pips on a 2-drop is a little bit rough. But I'm still happily playing it in basically any white deck. It's going to do work. It's going to trade reasonably well. Like, is that a B- or a C+?
I think it's honestly a B-. It does a lot in keeping you alive.
Yeah, I dig it. Next up, Quende, Pride of Femeref. 3 and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature human knight. All these are uncommons, by the way, just to be clear. It's got double strike, and creatures you control with first strike have double strike.
Sweet.
There's, at common and uncommon, there's 1 creature with first strike. There's 1 creature that has first strike if you've played a knight. And there's 1 combat trick that gives first strike. And real quick, I'll check through the rest of these Multiverse Legends, but I don't even think the rest of them have first strike. So you're not playing it for that part. You're playing it for the part where it's a 2/2 double striking knight. It has a relevant creature type.
Yeah, it wears counters really well too.
It also wears counters very well for a backup.
Yeah, I think Quende is going to be a lot better in this set than it was in Dominaria.
Probably.
So I'd give it like a C+, probably.
C+, B-. I could even see it fitting into, just because there's so many white decks that actually will care about it.
Mm-hmm.
You probably just don't play it in white-black.
Probably not, yeah. All right, moving on. Inga Runeyes. I hate this card. 3 and a blue for a human wizard. I believe these are just all legendary, so I'm not going to say
legendary
it.
Creatures.
It's a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you scry 3. Okay, Hill Giant that scries 3, not bad. And then when it dies, draw 3 cards if 3 or more creatures died this turn.
You ever managed to actually draw those cards off it?
No!
I've done it before. It feels great.
It probably feels awesome, but like cool. I don't know. I think this card is just like a D+. It's like playable, but like not great.
D+ is probably correct. C- is where my heart wants to go because I have done the draw 3 once, but like realistically speaking, it's so telegraphed.
Yeah, so I don't like that card at all.
It's not fantastic. Tetsuko Umezawa, Fugitive. 1 and a blue for a 1/3 human rogue. Creatures you control with power or toughness 1 or less can't be blocked. This is how we get that Phyrexian ship in.
There it is. You did it.
There's actually a decent number of cards that have unblockable as a result of this in this set. I think around like 20-ish or something.
Not bad.
That said, a lot of them don't actually benefit from being unblockable. You have these random 0/1s and 1/1s and stuff that really don't do a lot. Or like 1Xs that really don't have any business being in the red zone. In terms of X1s, you've got the ship, you've got Halo Forager, which already is a flyer. Tetsuko doesn't strike me as a particularly enticing build around for this set. That said, Tetsuko herself is unblockable, which isn't nothing. I don't know, C minus. I'm not really really excited to play this card.
Yeah, I think it's like a D plus C minus.
Okay.
So, all right, we got Timuret, Chosen from Death. It's a 2-star demigod. It costs black. Its toughness equal to Devotion to Black. And you can pay 1 and a black to exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards. You gain 1 life for each creature card exiled this way. Good way to keep. You can exile your own cards if you're in that mill deck because you're milling yourself, you're milling your opponent, and then you can exile cards from your own graveyard so your opponent's stuff doesn't go off with the mill strategy.
Yeah,
it's like weird. If you're in I honestly, like a black X deck, I wouldn't really play this, honestly. I guess it's a 2/2, but it's hard to cast on turn 2 if you're playing 2 colors. And the payoff's not that.
I would still probably play it in any black deck, to be honest.
Right.
It has a little bit of value here and there. It's not as good as Daxos was in white. But it's got some value. And every once in a while, you'll play against someone for whom the exile text is actually relevant. I don't think it's enough to make it like a sideboard change. It's probably honestly, I would say just a C.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Yargle, Glutton of Urborg is 4 and a black for a 9/3 Frog Spirit.
That's it. I can't believe he's back. I think that this card is totally okay. It's usually not good. It dies to Elspeth Smite. It dies to the 2 mana red one.
Yeah.
This is a tough format for Yargle, but he's gonna win one game that you're gonna hear about and you're gonna want to try it, and then it's not gonna go well.
Yargle's interesting because he's very much a immediate check of, do you have the answer? The problem is that there's a lot of answers to Yargle. A lot of things to deal with him.
2-drop.
But if you don't have that answer, then he will probably win the game. It's possible he gets a little bit of value just because there's better ways to pump him in this set. I don't know, throw a backup counter with some sort of evasion on him and live the dream.
I'm hoping to live the dream.
So I think in most decks he's a D. And if you manage to somehow figure out the puzzle of Yargle, which we've all been trying to do for years, he could go up to a C or a C+.
All right, we're moving on to Valduke, Keeper of the Flame. 2 and a red for a human shaman at 3/2. Beginning of combat on your turn, for each aura and equipment attached to Valduke, create a 3/1 red elemental creature with trample and haste. Exile the tokens at the beginning of the next end step. This has a lot of Nova potential where you're just I'm going to play all those cheap equipments, but it's not worth building your deck around because you're probably not going to get more than 1 Valduke in a draft.
Yeah.
And equipments just aren't good on their own. So I honestly hate this card. I think it's a D.
There is one other creature on this bonus sheet that also cares about auras and equipments. It's the red-white one because of course it is. So maybe if you get both of them, you could justify playing a couple of the junkier little equipments. And we've seen a couple of equipments that aren't horrible. That said, I don't think it's something you should be aiming for. I think it takes a particularly skilled drafter to realize when the time to go in on red-white artifact auras and equipments is. I'm sure I will see someone do it, but I also see a lot of less experienced players assuming that it's an archetype that isn't actually there.
Yeah.
So I would probably say a D. If you manage to do the crazy dream of building around it, maybe it gets up to C+. Don't put a pacifism effect on it. Don't do that. Next up, Zada, Hedron Grinder. 3 and a red for a 3/3 Goblin Ally. When you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only Zada, copy that spell for each other creature you control that the spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those creatures. I have never been able to make this work.
No, me neither, but I want to see it so bad because the potential's so high.
Even then, though, it's not like there's that many single target spells in this format that really go crazy. What, you blink your entire board and draw a bunch of cards?
Cool.
Yeah,
that is pretty cool.
It's kind of cool, but it's really not the ends of the world or anything. And especially because again, red one, every color in this set wants to have 1/1 counters be part of the equation. So,
True.
How
about a build around C+? Because it's got moments where it could be really hype.
Yeah, I think it's going to tend more towards the D minus than that, but like the build around Dream is there for sure.
All right, we got Finn the Fangbearer, 1 and a green human warrior with Death Touch. It's a 1/3. Whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. That's what you've been looking for.
Yeah, that's what I've been looking for.
You love it.
I love a 2-mana 1/3 Death Touch. I don't care about the other text on this card, actually. I think that very rarely are you ever going to actually live that dream where you poison someone out fully with Finn the Fangbearer. There are a decent number of Death Touch creatures in this format, but you're a lot more likely to just kill them normal. And it's totally playable as a 1/3 Death Touch. Like, I think Finn's just
like probably a CC minus.
Yeah. Next up, Renata, Call to the Hunt. 2 green for a star 3 demigod. Power equal to your devotion to green. So it's a 2/3 by default. And each other creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it.
So good.
That's a very strong one. That's an easily first pickable card. I didn't play a lot of Theros Beyond Death. Does this get to the B+ category in your opinion, or did we just stick at B?
I think that it's a B. It's easier to kill than a regular creature.
True.
Because it's an enchantment as well.
Yeah.
But that effect is very strong, obviously. Yeah. So, coming up next, Wrath, Weatherlight Stalwart. We just saw this guy. He's white-blue for Human Wizard at 1/3. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control. If you do, draw a card. And you can pay 3 white for creatures you control to get +1/+1 and Vigilance till end of turn. I love this card. I think this card's really good, and I think this is a good format for it.
You think so?
It's slow.
It is slow.
And it makes creatures that you want to be tapping anyway.
Yeah, I guess so. It works a little bit with the Convoke thing. The Anthem effect ain't nothing for the Knights deck. It doesn't really feel like it actually gels with anything specifically. Like, blue-white just isn't the Spellslinger deck. But I think it's probably still quite good.
Yeah,
it's still probably like a B-.
It might catch things more on like the incidental side.
Yeah.
Honestly. And I mean, I drew a card. That's cool. And you'll probably do it again.
Yeah. You good with B- on that as well?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Speaking of Dominaria United Legends that we didn't want to see immediately again. Rona Shieldred's Faithful. 1 blue, black for a 3/4 human wizard. When you cast an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life. You may cast her from your graveyard by discarding 2 cards in addition to paying her other costs. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm not super into this card. I wasn't into it in the set she was recently.
Yeah, Dominaria United, she really wasn't like fantastic in. Occasionally there'd be games where you'd be like, wow, this is annoying. But more often than not, the optimal way to build those decks was actually to just put like 6 Tolarian Towers into your deck. And that be your spell payoff. That said, she can be a little bit difficult to get rid of. And she can represent something of a clock. I don't know. C+ is about as high I'm willing to go for her, though.
Yeah, I'll give her a C for now. I'd love to see it work, though.
Yeah.
All right, we've got is that Yuri?
Yeah.
Master of the Review.
Yeah.
It's black-red for Human Shaman 1/1. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a 1/1 counter on Yuri. When Yuri dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. This is actually, that goes very well with the black-red deck.
Yeah, a lot of these multicolor legends don't really gel with what their color pairs are doing. But because red-black does the same thing constantly, Yuri is incredible for it. She's also she's one of, I think, 3 of these legends that are from Commander Legends instead of like the standard set.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't recognize it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think Yuri is a really sweet card. I'm very excited to play with this.
Yeah, it's a B in that deck, probably, for sure.
Yeah, easily. And even if you don't really get to put counters on it, like it trades with basically any 2-drop.
Mm-hmm.
So Rada, Coalition Warlord. We're keeping the DMU train running. 2 red-green for a 3/3 elf warrior with domain. Whenever Rada becomes tapped, another target creature you control gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. No.
Yeah, probably not in this set.
Like, Dominaria United was a very domain-based set, and she still wasn't even very good there.
Yeah.
Like, occasionally you could get it to work, but like it kind of often involved your opponent not playing important cards for several turns in a row or something. Um, like she's not good at being tapped on her own. And this set, while it will have splashing, will have less domain, I think.
Absolutely. I'm good for like a D+ on
Yeah,
her.
D plus D. I'm not willing to go
She
higher
has
than
her
that.
moments where she's going to be really good, but
Yeah.
not really here, I don't think. Shauna Sisei's Legacy is next. Green white for a human warrior. 0/0. Can't be the target of abilities your opponents control. She gets +1/+1 for each creature you control. I mean, yeah, I like this card. I think she's neat. She usually plays pretty well. She was in regular Dominaria, I believe, right?
Yes, you got it.
And I liked her there. And this seems like a good set for her. So I'd probably give it a C+.
Yeah, C+ is about where I'm willing to go with it.
Okay.
Again, doesn't gel with what green white's doing, but green white still just has creatures, and that's all you really need. So
absolutely.
Furia, Judge of Valor, 2 white black for a 2/4 angel cleric with flying and lifelink. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. She was fine in Kaldheim. She's fine here.
Yeah, that's, I mean, good effects, and she's kind of annoying to try to get through.
Yeah, but enough removal does deal with her.
Yeah.
She's the kind of thing where if you let her stick around, then you're like, wow, this sucks for me.
Yeah.
But it's easy enough to just not let her stick around, and she doesn't really represent like immediate value, nor does she represent a fast clock. So like C+ is about where I would put Furia.
Okay. I'm okay with C+, maybe C.
Yeah.
I don't hate her though. Igar, the Freezing Flame is next. 1 blue-red for a giant wizard. Dang, he's huge. It's a 3/3, and whenever a creature planeswalker an opponent controls deals excess damage, if a giant wizard or spell you control dealt damage to it this turn, draw a card. It's like, it's a 3-mana 3/3. I don't know.
So neither giants nor wizards are a big part of the tribal here. They exist in small numbers at common, but they're not super. You're not going to see a lot of them. You're not building Agar because you want to build the giants deck or the wizards deck in this format.
Right.
That said, red instants and sorceries tend to deal damage, and so a 3/3 for 3 that will occasionally draw you a card off one of your removal spells. That's cool. We still play Agar in this house. I still think that's like a C+ B- kind of thing.
Sure. I'll take a C+ with you.
Okay.
And if I draw a card off of Igar ever, or if I see someone draw a card, I'll be super hyped.
Right. Dina, Soul Steeper, black green for a 1/3 Dryad Druid. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life.
Ooh.
You may pay 1 and sack a creature to give Dina +X+O until end of turn, where X is the sacrificed creature's power. There's a little bit of life gain in this set for sure, but you're not building a black-green life gain deck like you did in Strixhaven. That's not a thing. That said, you will occasionally get to ping somebody for 1 with her, and that sacrifice ability is a real threat for sure. It means that you have to respect that Dina could just smack you for a large amount of damage out of nowhere. It mucks up combat fairly well. I still don't think it goes higher than a C+. C might even be more relevant for Dina.
Yeah, I think C is where you want it. It's not in black-red.
Yeah, it's not
where you really want to sack stuff. So we have Rayav, Master Smith. He's a dwarf artificer, 2/2. He costs red and white. Whenever a creature you control that's enchanted or equipped attacks, it gains double strike until end of turn.
So this is I think a better payoff for trying to do that red-white thing, the equipment thing.
Yeah.
That said, you still don't necessarily want to play all those bad cards.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't terrible, but like, again, I don't know how often you really want to build around this.
Not really.
It's probably quite strong when you actually get there, but this isn't really the set for it.
I don't think so either. I give this like a D+. Like the dream exists, but it's not great.
I feel the same way I do about Valduk, to be honest. I think this has a higher upside than Valduk, but
I agree.
I don't feel strongly about it either way. Last card, everybody. Emoti, Celebrant of Bounty. 3 green blue for a 3/1 Naga Druid. It has Cascade. So when you cast this spell, exile cards off the top of your library until you hit a spell that costs less than Emoti, so 4 or less. You get to cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put the other exiled cards onto the bottom of your library in a random order. Emoti also says the spells you cast with mana value 6 or greater have Cascade. I think this is a hell of a payoff for the multicolor decks and the more rampy decks. And this is a reason why I would want to play one of those decks.
Agreed.
It does not work with the whole green-blue thing at all of transform permanence. I think it's an entirely different type of green-blue deck that this goes into. That said, I am so excited to play with Emoti in a 1v1 format.
Yeah, right.
This card is going to be very good. I'm going to keep it at a B for now, because it does give you a lot of value for just one card, with the potential that you're going to get even more out of it.
I'm okay with, I think I'm going to say B- just because its initial cascade, like you're playing limited, you know, you're going to hit like a 2-mana 2/2 with lifelink,
or
whatever.
Sure. like if you've played against this thing in Commander, you know it's a real pain, but like it's not Commander. They're not like cascading their Crater Hoof Behemoth into an Avenger or Zenda card. You might be lucky to cast your 6/5 Reach Trample into like a decent removal spell.
Yeah.
But again, I'm still excited. Listen, Cascade is always my jam. I just want to spin the wheel.
Who doesn't? And that's it.
We did it.
Yeah, only X amount of hours later. Do not tell me. I don't want to know how long it was. Thanks so much for coming, guys. We appreciate you all. This was a lot of fun. If we helped you get better at limited, you know, that's awesome. And let us know what we missed. You know, this is our first like real look at all these cards. This is our first ever set review. Let us know what we were wrong about. Don't do it super in like hindsight, because then I'll be mad at you and I'll come to your house and knock on your door at the middle of the night.
Yeah, he does know everybody's addresses in the world. It's a really cool superpower that Nick has.
Yeah, Santa backed me up. Guys, thanks so much for coming.